Okay, there we go. Okay, so thank you so much for having me. This CHEO speaks dear to my heart, and I am here. I'll explain a bit more in a couple of slides who I am, but we have used CHEO services as a family for over 5 years. And when I met Alain online, it was the best thing I could do was to give back to our community because I'm from Ottawa, and to CHEO. So thank you so much for having me. So I'm going to explain who I am in just a moment, but this webinar is a profound workshop, and you're going to find a lot of nuggets and insights of the connection with yourself, which you'll learn is one of the most important relationships that we can have. And so all of us, are working or love ourselves, but we can always love ourselves even more. And I think this is such a beautiful thing, because when we truly love and accept who we are, we can actually love and accept others on our path. And I think globally, this is what is really, really needed. So welcome today. So I'm going to start by just asking you some questions. And it's a simple yes or no. Don't think too much about it. If you want to grab a pen or paper, or if you just want to make a little note on your phone, you can go right ahead. So the question is, do you tend to give up your dreams? So you might have really big desires and dreams, but because of money or circumstances or relationships, that you might put your dreams on hold, your deepest desires. Do you criticize yourself endlessly? So this might be whether it's out loud or in your head: I'm too old, I'm overweight, I'm not smart enough, I'm not capable enough. Do you not take good care of your body? So this might be overeating, it might be depriving yourself of a treat, it might be not moving your body joyfully, or getting adequate sleep. Do you accept unfulfilling relationships as part of your life? So these could be relationships that are heavy in drama. They could even be abusive relationships. Do you tend to feel guilty when you live for yourself? So this is like taking the time to be here today, or taking the time to move your body, and yet there's this guilt that there's other things to do, or maybe your family or your work needs you. I always find this one, the guilt about taking your lunchtime at work. Do you become afraid to leave your comfort zone? So you would rather stay where it's cozy and it's secure versus really stretching and pushing the boundaries. Do you procrastinate things that might benefit you? So maybe that's doing a new project, writing something. Maybe it's even a fitness program. Do you often think negative thoughts? We'll really understand what these are today, but these are what we call disenabling thoughts. If you are an entrepreneur, or you have like a side hustle business, are you afraid to charge a decent price for your services? Or this could even be like when we sell things on Facebook. Are you playing small because you're afraid of being judged? So this could even be like not speaking your truth because you're afraid of being judged by family or friends. And do you feel a lack in your life despite trying your best? So you feel that you are taking care of yourself, but that there's this feel of lack, not a feeling of purposefulness and meaningfulness and passion. So all I want you to do is look at this list now that it's all up. And even if you've answered one yes, or maybe many yeses, we can't know how do we love ourselves more if we don't have awareness. And so all of these questions were put up to show you where and probably why you're here and how we can love ourselves more. Because when we come to this place of unconditional love and acceptance, all of these questions would be answered no. So just put in the chat if anybody's answered no, even as a coach and somebody who's been in the wellness circle for over 25 years, there's certain ones, and I'm going to be really vulnerable and open as we go through this presentation. I procrastinate. Sometimes I play small because I'm afraid of being judged. So there's parts of me that can work on loving myself more to have that calm, clarity, and confidence. Nobody's in the chat yet. That's okay. Okay. I definitely need to say more now. Thank you. Yeah. And that's okay, right? That's why we're here. That's why we're here, right? It's a starting point. So based on this, my intentions, or you can say our goals for today, is to get unstuck from limiting past experiences, because it's our past that is keeping us from truly loving ourselves as we are. We're going to get introduced to what we call the thought cycle. So the thought cycle is a really powerful tool to understand why we might not be living our best selves and our loving selves. We're going to uncover negative beliefs, or what I call barriers or blocks, that don't support you from loving yourself. We're going to rediscover powerful new ways to think, and therefore then we'll feel that way, and then we'll be that way, whether it's at work, whether it's with your family or friends. And I'm going to leave you today with 5 self-care practices on how to love yourself even more. So I'll leave you with some tools. So my next screen is the power is in present moment. This is one of the most powerful affirmations. And all this means is let go of all the distractions. The power is in the now. This is what creates our future. So this is such a loving gesture too, to just put your phone down. If there's something going in the background, close it up, and know that you're worth this, this time. So you're probably like, when is she going to introduce herself? Here we are. So my name is Tina D'Angelo, and I am the owner of a local business here in Ottawa, Ontario, called HealthStyles Consulting. I have been in the fitness and wellness circle for over 25 years. This was my passion. I went to school. I graduated in 97 in fitness and health promotion. And from that place, I operate half of my day as a corporate fitness and wellness consultant. So I do work with organizations and providing solutions to mostly medium and small chain-sized businesses here in Ottawa. And then I come in ad hoc to different organizations to deliver services, as well as I've got about a team of 12 different trainers and coaches. But I also, the other half of my day is at HealthStyles. We do have our own community where we have fitness and wellness and meditation programs. We offer webinars like this, wellness retreats, and we do one-on-one training and coaching, life coaching. So I am a Heal Your Life workshop leader, and Heal Your Life is the powerful work of Louise Hay. And this is what this presentation is based on. And I'm going to explain who Louise is momentarily. And so we have many international programs for personal self-development. So I'm a licensed life coach, a certified personal trainer, and a yoga practitioner. So that's just a little bit about who I am. So research shows that only 8% of people actually live the life that they really want for themselves. So when we look at our life, we kind of break it up into 4 umbrellas. We look at our health. And so most of us would probably all say we just don't want to be healthy. We want vibrant, radiant health. We want harmonious, loving relationships. Relationships is the second thing. We want meaningful careers and work where we feel of purpose and value. And the 4th big umbrella is our abundances, our finances, our prosperity, that we are worthy and we want prosperities of all kinds. And so the question is, knowing that we all want this for ourselves, I've never really come across people that go, yeah, I don't want that, right? Is when you look at the research and we think, well, only 8% of the people are living from this place. And so the question is, what holds us back? What holds us back from living the life that we really want and having health and relationships and careers and prosperity of all kinds. And so when we look at this work, we actually look at there's two big avenues. And so the first thing that holds us back is what we refer to as our external circumstances. So this is things like society, our environment, it could be resources, it could be your work, it could be the people in your life. So this is what we always call what's outside of our circle of control, okay? Might be an influence, but there's a lot that can hold us back. But then we also have what we call the internal limitations. And so this is what goes on between our ears. These are our thoughts. This is what goes on between our head and our heart and our gut, our feelings. This is our behaviors, okay? And so this is what we actually have complete control of, is our internal limitations. And so what we're going to learn here today is that all of our internal limitations, our perception, the lens that we look at life through, create all of our external circumstances and reality. That's a pretty powerful statement. I see, do you mean the Heal Your Life workbook? So this is great question. All of this work is based on You Can Heal Your Life, the actual book, and the workbook, yes. Okay. So I'm going to introduce you now to the pioneer in the self-help movement in the 70s, Louise Hay, because this is her work. And so as a Heal Your Life trainer, it's just beautiful. Her whole thing was Love Yourself, Heal Your Life, which is the title. And so I'll briefly explain who she is. She was born in 1926, and unfortunately, she's no longer on this earth plane. I did not get the opportunity to meet her either, but I am privileged to have gone through a 6-month training and to be able to share this work internationally. And so Louise was not born into a very affluential family. She was actually born into poverty, and she suffered quite a bit of abuse physically, mentally, and sexually right within her own home. And she was deprived of love. And at the age of 15, she actually ran away from home. And she was so starving for love that she ended up pregnant and delivering a baby girl by the age of 16 years of age. And given the lack of resources, she ended up giving up her daughter for adoption. And she decided at that point, her dream was to become a model. And so she headed off to New York and she started her modeling career. And she met a really prosperous businessman who she was married to for about 14 years. And it wasn't until she was around her 44th birthday that her and her husband actually had divorced due to infidelity. And she decided to go to a workshop with a friend, kind of like you're here in a workshop. And it was in this workshop that she basically learned that your thoughts create your reality. And it was in that moment that Louise's life of despair and a victim to her circumstances, she realized she could switch her internal dialogue and become the creator of her reality. And from this place, you can look at all of her achievements. She wrote her first book, You Can Heal Your Body, which was called The Little Blue Book, which was published in 1976. And this book is a profound book that goes over basically what we call metaphysics. So it's all the conscious and unconscious thoughts that we have in our head, so our mental, emotional state of being, and how that contributes to physical manifestation of what Louise always referred to as dis-ease or illness. She then went on to basically the best-selling book, Heal Your Life. And if you haven't read the book, reading the book is a must. Understanding and then bringing the book into full fruition is a must. It is, like everybody says, life-changing once they go through the program. And it has been read by millions, and it's been published in many languages and shared in 33 countries worldwide. So it's been translated to 25 languages. It was sold 50 million copies. You can still find this in Indigo. You can find it on Amazon. She reached the New York Times bestseller list and remained on it for 13 consecutive weeks. And her biggest legacy is she went on to basically the multi-million dollar publishing company Hay House. So if you probably look at some of the books in your home or in the library, if you ever go to the self-help section, there's so many books that Louise Hay has written and co-authored with people like Robert Holton, Dr. Wayne Dyer. And so if you don't know who Hay House Publishing is, we've got some of the best authors for self-help and the self-love movement. So that's who Louise is, and I'm honored to be able to share her legacy with you today. So that is just one copy of the book. There's been so many copies of this book, the face covers, but the inside is all the same. And so this is Louise's work. What holds us back is our external circumstances and our internal limitations. So I'm here today to help you to uncover, to get unstuck. Thank you for showing. Yes, that's the copy. That's the gift edition. That's a great edition. It's a beautiful edition to help you look at some of your internal limitations. And I always say, if not now, then when? And this might be a catalyst moment for you to realize that you can become the creator of your reality, and you are able to have divine, vibrant health, harmonious relationships, fulfilling careers, and abundances and opportunities like no other. So powerful, powerful statement. And our first point of Louise's philosophy, she had many points of philosophy, but I'm taking 3 of them today, is our thoughts create our reality. And so we actually have, research shows, we have 60 to 90,000 thoughts that go through your head in a day. And so the average, when you look at the research, is about 80,000 thoughts in a day. And most of them are actually negative, okay, versus positive. I'm going to ask you a question, and you could put it into the chat if you'd like, is how many of us have the same thoughts, kind of like the Groundhog Day, the autopilot brain, as we did yesterday? Anybody? You can just throw the number. I'm going to say it's on the higher side, so it's 50 plus. Let me give you a little hint. Anybody? Okay, I'm going to let you know that 95% of our thoughts are the same ones we had yesterday, autopilot. And so autopilot mind is kind of like when you think you drive like to work from your home all the way to work, and you're like, how did I get there? That's the autopilot mind. So we're not even aware. Most of us run our life on what we call autopilot or habitual behavior. And there's a reason for this. It makes our life more efficient. We have, right? Because when we do something new, it requires a lot of thought. It requires a lot of energy, right? It requires more time to do something new. And you can know that if you've ever tried to develop a new habit. However, what happens when we live in autopilot is we're really not aware. This is what we call the subconscious brain, of what's really going on. And so only 5% of our day is conscious, where we're actually really present and aware. And so I love this, this image is, if we're having the same old thinking and patterns as we did yesterday or we did 10 years ago, we end up with the same old results. And maybe it's not old results. Maybe you're that 8% that are quite happy with where you are. But in order for us to love ourselves and then to expand and share this love with others, we're going to need to shift some of our habitual patterns of thinking. And so what is really a thought? A thought is nothing but a stream of inner dialogue. So even as I'm speaking, I can guarantee you, we call this the inner chatter that goes on in your mind, that there's an inner a chatter, a dialogue. You might even be going, oh, it's interesting, or look at her red scarf, or, you know, oh, I've got this to do today, you know, or I hope this is going to be over in time, or this is really interesting. So if you're having an inner chatter that you can recognize, just put yes in the chat. You might even want to tell me what the inner chatter is like. It could be, oh, there's all this extra work to do. Anybody? make sure if you're in the chat that your message is to everyone. So you're going to see I like to use the chat a lot because it makes it interactive. Okay. Yes. Excited about looking at my books. Okay, so there's an inner chatter. There's a distraction. Yes, always have inner chatter going. Okay. So the reason this is so important to recognize is because it's really the quality, right, of the inner chatter that matters. And so what happens is if 80%, according to research, is our inner chatter is negative, or I like to use the word disempowering, right, versus empowering. And so if it's disempowering, every thought matters because it creates our outer landscape. So basically, when you think of every thought, I want you to think of every thought, and I kind of look outside, is almost like a drop of water. And hence why I put this picture up. So one drop of water, one thought is not such a big deal. But what happens is that one drop of water eventually becomes a puddle. And the puddle eventually becomes a stream. And the stream of water becomes a river. And the river can turn into a raging sea of negativity. That's how powerful your thoughts are. And so the opposite can hold true if our thoughts are positive, enabling, okay? And so I want you to see, I'm going to introduce you to the thought cycle to show not only does one thought matter, but it is from these thoughts that it gives rise to how we show up every day, how we show up for ourselves, how we show up for others. And so this is where I introduce the thought cycle. And the thought cycle, this is not new. This is actually not Louise's work. This comes from psychology. This comes from cognitive behavioral therapy, which we know is an amazing modality to help people with anxiety and depression, and that do have a lot of negative rumination. This can help as well, we see this in what we call metaphysics. So every thought creates your reality, that physical manifestation. So here we go. I'm going to introduce you here. Is you have a thought. Every thought you have, good or bad, we're going to take this scenario in two rounds, gives rise to a feeling. And that feeling gives rise to a behavior. And then the behavior gives rise to another thought. And this cycle goes around and around. And so right now, you might not even know your thought that you're thinking. Some of you did, you shared it. But maybe you can identify with the feeling that you're having right now. So just even ask yourself, what am I feeling? I'm feeling excitement. And so the thought is, for me, I have this opportunity to give back to CHEO and to be in a new community. And so my behavior is one of excitement. I'm sharing. And from this thought, I'm empowered to do more in our community. I'm empowered to maybe go and reach out to new communities. Okay, so that gives me courage. So I'm going to take this cycle and I'm going to show it to you negatively and positively. And I'm going to actually use the pandemic, the crisis, as our example. And as much as I'm not a fan of talking about this and ruminating on this, it's something that we can all attest to because we've all gone through it. Okay. And it's funny because this presentation I made 18 months ago. So if we were to think the pandemic, my thought is this is an awful crisis. Pandemic's terrible. I hate it. Okay. The feelings are going to be those of helplessness, anxiousness, upset, despair, sadness, etc. And now, it's kind of hard because some of us have, we're not living in the past, but if you bring yourself back to the first 6 months, you can maybe bring yourself back, if this was your thought, to some of these feelings. And then how did we show up? Or what were some of the things that we did? So there was a lot of negativity. There was spreading fear. We were talking and maybe we weren't even aware that we were spreading fear in the words that we were choosing. we were watching negative news. Maybe some of you were glued to social media, negative news. And I know for a lot of my clients, my coaching clients, there was a really big obsession, right? And they got caught. So this is what happens with a negative thought. But what if, and for some of us, this was a reality, that the pandemic, that the crisis is a time for a reboot. And as an entrepreneur who went from work, I mean, I didn't think I had work. I was going to be one of these people that didn't have work. And so I was like, I got online March 23rd, 2020. I arrived home on a plane March 22nd, 2020. And I said, this is a time for evolution. My husband goes, I can't believe you grabbed the bull by the horns and you had the tools and you went. And I mean, yes, there was some scare, but I was like, we're ready for this. I'm ready for this. This is an evolution and an opportunity to move my business to a different place. So the feelings was hopefulness. There was an aware, there was a sensitivity, a curiosity to do business differently. I never would have imagined doing webinars like this. I used to always be in person with my high heels. Right now I got my Birkenstocks on under here. And so that's the difference. Okay. And then the behavior was focus on creating. I created such a loving online community. I contributed and supported people, and not only just in Ottawa, but we expanded, right? Because we were able to. And there was a sense of patience and supporting. Okay. Thanks for all the shares. This is beautiful. Lunch and Learns. I think I may just continue them. Yeah. You know, the webinars have been amazing because it allows people who might not have had the time to come in person to see the recording at their own time, right? And so it gives you that. Yeah. So can you see the two patterns by one enabling or disenabling thought? Okay. So this is why your thought matters. So as Louise used to say, a thought is like a seed. And so every thought is like a seed you plant in the ground and you water it, right, with continuous thoughts. And then that seed, what happens is it becomes a sapling. And then it takes root and it becomes a full-blown tree. And so what you're watering it is how you're nourishing your mind with thoughts. And so, you know, I mean, I've been in the fitness circle since 1995, really. And so we know that if we show up and strengthen our hearts with walking or the cycling, and if we strengthen our muscles with resistance training, our muscles grow, our hearts become stronger and more resilient. The same thing happens with our mental fitness. And I like to call it mental fitness because this is enabling. We don't have to wait till our mental fitness becomes that we're in a mental health crisis. Okay, so as much as we strengthen our muscles, which we all go, oh yeah, we can strengthen our minds by how we choose, what thoughts we choose. And you do choose your thoughts. You might not realize how powerful you are, but you are a creator in your mind. Okay. And so for just a minute, I'd like you to actually close your eyes. And we're going to just do an awareness meditation of where your thoughts really lie. And I'm going to stop sharing this just for a moment and come back to you. So go ahead and get a little eye break. Take your eyes off the screen. You can place your feet flat onto the floor. And let's just take a couple of deep grounding breaths, breathing in and breathing out. And you can breathe in through the nose and in or out through the mouth or nose, whatever resonates for you. And just start to notice what sensations are there in your body. And in your mind's eye, I want you to take yourself back and imagine yourself waking up on a typical morning. As you wake up on a typical morning, what are the first thoughts? that you wake up with? Do you feel stressed about what the day is going to bring? Maybe you're tired of all the chores and the to-do list. Or perhaps you're worried about what's to come. Or maybe you've woken up on a typical day being grateful for the ability to just be alive in your body. Or perhaps you're simply neutral. Just acknowledge what thoughts are there when you wake up. And as you go about your day, what are the kinds of thoughts when you begin to interact with other people in your home, perhaps your colleagues at work, perhaps even the strangers you might meet on the street or in a grocery store? What are your thoughts? Are you judging these people? Or are you knowing that they're truly doing the best that they can? And when you catch a glimpse of yourself in a mirror in your day, what are your thoughts when you see yourself? And as you perhaps move through your day and you might watch TV or scroll social media, what are the thoughts? What's happening inside of you? And as you end your typical day and you prepare for bed, what are the thoughts that you're bringing with you? Without judging yourself, but pure awareness. Look back at your day where your thoughts could be more empowering. Once you feel ready, take one more beautiful deep breath. On the exhale, slowly begin to open your eyes and you can return back to myself and the screen. And so just simply, if you'd like to share in the chat, is there a place in your day where you could shift some of these maybe disabling negative thoughts that maybe we just raised awareness to more enabling thoughts? It's a simple yes or no. Awareness is the key agent for change. And so if you feel yourself maybe getting defensive, know you're in a safe place and that this is such a big step. Beautiful. Okay. And so that seed that is planted that turns into that sapling and then a full grown tree can be one or two trees, right? So the left side of this tree is, one of sadness, despair, perhaps possibly even overwhelm, anxiety, anger. Whereas the right side, this beautiful tree based on the type of seeds, the thoughts that we're planting, can be one of gratitude, hope, love, contentment, equanimity. Okay. And so I guess the question is, I'm sure all of us, and we will go back and forth, even those of us that have done and teach transformational personal work, is I've never met anybody who didn't want their tree to be lush and green with a beautiful blue sky and a green field. Okay. So recapturing, inner thoughts create your outer reality. Okay. And I know that's really hard to digest if it's the first time you're hearing this. To me, this was such an empowering statement that I get to choose every day what I think. And when I did this exercise, I was known as so positive and optimistic, and I couldn't believe how many places I was aware of that I could still change and grow and shift some of that negativity, that inner landscape. When that happened, my exterior world completely switched around. So this is really powerful. So we're going to look at some of the ways that we do talk to ourselves. So imagine if you choose to think, I'm not good enough. It's not safe for me to assert myself. These are thoughts that we all have. I must earn love. So I have to earn love as a parent or as a spouse. Imagine if you were to choose to think life is hard. People cannot be trusted, right? Religious people, the government. Relationships are difficult. I'm not smart enough to do this webinar, this work. I'm not lucky. Money does not come easy. I think I've got one more. Yeah. I have to achieve to feel worthy. So I actually have to do something to feel worth and deserving of whether I achieve something or love. Could you imagine if you choose to think that? If that's your inner landscape, what do you think your outer reality is going to look like? Not great, right? Really disenabling. The one that really stands out for me is I'm not smart enough. And if I continue to think I'm not smart enough, I would not be here today. I would have been procrastinating. Okay. And so the question is, can thoughts be changed? And Louise always used to say a resounding yes. When you become aware of what needs to be changed and you put in the mental fitness, any thought can be changed. And it doesn't happen overnight, just like building your biceps or your heart doesn't happen, a strong heart and biceps overnight. So we can consciously do this when we consciously choose to affirm different thoughts. So look at now, if you choose to affirm these thoughts, I'm always safe. Everything I need comes to me in the perfect time-space sequence. Life supports me in every possible way, with resources, with people. All my experiences are perfect for my growth, even when we're in the face of adversity, even when maybe we have a health crisis. Life is easy. This one I learned to embody. Wellness is the natural state of my body. So many of us believe, we think, that we're all going to have a disabling disease and die of illness, whereas your body's actual natural state is well, and it wants to be well, but it starts up here. What do you think your outer reality would be? One of health, great relationships, fulfilling careers, okay? Abundances. So you can just even feel the way I talked about it, how it feels different versus life is hard versus life is easy. Can you feel the difference? Yeah. So the second point of philosophy that I kind of want to talk about is Louise would share what we believe about ourselves and about life becomes true for us. Okay. And so the question is, well, what do we really believe? And this is a lot of the transformational work, is to try to uncover some of the deep-rooted beliefs that we've been conditioned with from our parents, from childhood, from peers, the church, society. And I think right now in this evolution, a lot of us are questioning what we believe, what we were taught to believe. And it's really hard to challenge when you've always believed a certain way. But I always say to people, you're going to know if your belief serves you or not is when you look at your outer landscape and you go, what is my health like? What are my relationships like? Because every circumstance and person in our life is a mere reflection of our beliefs and what we are thinking. And that's a powerful thing. Okay. And so a lot of our negative thoughts that we do have about ourselves are filled with judgments. of ourselves. And you might have realized that when I said that statement in the meditation, when you look into the mirror, what are your thoughts when you see yourself? And so why do we have these judgments about self? And I mean, this is a little stereotypical, but, women, and I can speak for myself, I like to not speak on opinion, but fact and based on personal experience is, I was very hard on myself growing up with my body image, and every time feeling an immense guilt of what I ate. And so the reason we have such judgments of self are because of these two things. Is we have what's called an ideal self. And so ideal self is basically an idea of what we should be. And I quotate should, put in quotations, should. And so again, this might be, I am, as a woman, I might need to be a certain size. I might need to be able to be successful in my career, juggle family, be calm and collective and support everybody. Maybe I'm also a caregiver. And so this is what society has maybe portrayed as an ideal self. And then I'm judging myself because maybe I'm not that ideal self. And then what we have is what's actually called the real self. And so this is who we actually are. So this might be me being 10, 20 pounds overweight. And so the bigger disconnect between the ideal self, this image that we have been taught to believe, and who we actually are, this is what I call our true self, our authentic self, the bigger the gap, the more we end up feeling, and basically we end up feeling that we place all these shoulds on us, the more we feel guilt and anxiety. And so your life might look like, I should be more organized. I should be more caring. I should not make mistakes. I should earn more money. I should lose weight. I should be more assertive. And so how many of you can put in the chat, should yourself? I'm waiting for it. All the time. Yes. Okay. Thanks for being honest, everyone. Yeah. And so when we continue to judge ourselves because of this disconnect of this fabricated idea of the ideal self, when we can start to drop these shoulds, because all should is a rigid expectation list. And the question is, are these even your expectations? I can tell you from this place of shoulding ourselves, we will never feel good, and we will constantly be on the hamster wheel trying to reach that ideal self, not really honoring our real self and our authentic self. And so we will never be living the life that we want. And that's not a loving place, actually. And so I just said it, but when we think we are not what we should be, these are the two big emotions that arise. And so many people that I work with in these programs or one-on-one experience anxiety. I didn't even realize how much I used to should myself about my weight and my body, that I didn't even realize I couldn't even identify with anxiety, because anxiety has become a habit for a lot of us. It's a habitual way of behaving. Okay. So just knowing that you feel guilt and anxiousness tells us there is a big disconnect of ideal self and real self. And so when we operate with these two big emotions, nothing ever positive can come from this place. And so the biggest thing is, like Louise always quotes, you've been criticizing for years and nothing has changed. Start approving and accepting of yourself and watch your world change. Okay. So the biggest lesson I'm going to take you away here today is, how do you do this shift? So if you really want to, you could. You could. And this word is positive. It's enabling, and it gives you permission that you can actually say no, or you can actually make a mistake. So you could be more organized. You could lose weight. You could make more money. You could be more disciplined. You could be more assertive. Doesn't that sound better than should? And so take this as a takeaway today. When you're starting to talk, because talking chatter is either up here in your head or we vocalize it. Notice when you're using the word should. And even in conversation, just stop yourself and go, I retract that word. I could be more organized. Or when you're talking to a friend, I could lose weight. It's going to start to bridge that gap. And this is a huge step in loving ourselves. And so then the question, and this could be some homework, what I call growth work, is if you really want to, so let's just use the lose weight. If you really want to lose weight, you could lose weight. Is this really your need? Or has this been indoctrinated from our society that this is what health looks like? This is acceptable, this certain weight or this certain size in our society. If the answer is yes, then what's stopping you from maybe losing the weight? Is it support? Is it resources? Is it time? Or if the answer is no, so I could take, is this really my need? I should lose weight. And I say, no, it's not. And for me, I was told all the time I was overweight from my dad and my grandma. And so when I dropped that should, that expectation, and I accepted the real self, there was no more guilt and anxiety, and an inspiration for other women to move their bodies joyfully and eat whole foods most of the time and release the guilt of having enjoyable foods like a chocolate cake. Okay, so that's just one example. So just to recap, how many of your thoughts in a day are judgmental and critical of yourself? How many times do you should yourself? You can, when you get the recording, you could, kind of do this as homework. And how often do you feel guilty and anxious? Okay, you could even take a picture if you want of just that, even that one slide. And so this tells us where we could start to expand our capacity for self-development and loving ourselves. So inner thoughts, outer reality. We're affirming this, okay? Amanda, sometimes it's hard to distinguish the difference between real self and ingrained societal messaging. Would love to ask if you have any suggestions. And so Amanda, I'm going to answer this right now, actually, is basically we need to uncover all of your belief system. And so we would actually look at all of your beliefs, and that we could do that. And then what we call is a limiting belief, a barrier. Some of them you might not even be conscious of. And then if it's your belief or not your belief, or if it speaks to you based on how you feel. Because, and so this is an interesting piece, and this is some deep work, but all of the thoughts that, don't support the real you, the authentic you, the true you, are going to make you feel fearful, angry, bitter, resentful. Okay. And so your feelings are your feedback system. I have a great presentation on emotional intelligence. And so our feelings can really reveal to us our authentic ways, but we have been so conditioned that most of us are living in what we call the ego mind or the crocodile brain. It's really hard to decipher. So be gentle with yourself to just start. If you can leave here today going, oh my gosh, this is not my belief, or I'm going to choose to release that belief. It's just a thought. A thought can be changed. You can change your beliefs. I've changed my beliefs in my 40s. It is so empowering. So empowering. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Amanda. So our last point of philosophy we're going to go over is the most important relationship we'll ever have is the one with ourselves. And a lot of people go, isn't this selfish? And if it's coming from the ego mind, it's arrogant. It's based on vanity and weight loss. It's based on jealousy. It's based on hurting others, whereas self-love is rooted in trust, in faith, in kindness, and compassion. And so when we work on ourselves, all our other relationships are loving and compassionate. And so, as Louise said, and this is the basis of a lot of our work, is we don't work, and try to help you with external relationships. We just work on you, because everything else will shift. And that's the only thing you need to do, is work on you and watch things shift. And sometimes that's a shift, meaning people might fall away. You might open yourself up to loving relationships you never imagined were possible for you. Yeah. Yeah. We are our own best friend. We really are. And that never goes away. And so that gives us that safety and security that we often look outside. So this is my favorite slide that I put together. So when we actually lack love and care inside of us, we actually seek approval, appreciation, and validation outside of us. So we're looking for the pat on the back. I'm not saying it's not nice to have, but we're constantly going to look outside of us. And the thing is then we get upset that we don't have those support systems, or these people can't. Okay. So this is what we were just saying, being your own best friend. When we lack safety inside of us, we look for security outside of us. So we might look for, security in the government and other people to make us feel safe. You might rely a lot on just one medical practitioner to allow you to feel safe and secure and well. When we lack a sense of a lack of worth and deservability, what happens is we look for achievements outside of us. So this is, sometimes you're looking for the next best thing. Maybe it's the next big house, car, climbing up the corporate ladder, the next certification. Okay. When we lack power inside, and this isn't like ego power, this is empowerment, right? Confidence, clarity, calm. That's the kind of power we're talking about in this presentation. Is we seek to control others, control things, and we use power outside of us, right? And I'm sure all of us can say we've had maybe people that have asserted power and control in your work life at some capacity along the way, or you might even see it in your home. When we lack peace inside of us, we create turmoil outside of us, and drama and suffering and hurt. And that's why it is so important to love ourselves and do some of this work. We're healing a whole collective and a community by loving ourselves. Isn't this powerful? I know in corporate, we've been talking so much about compassionate and conscious leadership. We actually have a whole program for corporate. It's a beautiful 2-day team build. It's coming back in person. It's coming back. I can't wait. But it's compassionate leadership starts with ourselves. Yeah. So when you're good to yourself, you're actually being good to everyone around you, because when you feel good, you'll react well to other people. It's that simple. So our 3 points that we talk, there's many other points of philosophy, but the ones that we covered for this presentation are: thoughts create a reality. What we believe about ourselves and our life becomes true for us. The only relationship we ever have to work on is with ourselves. So I'm going to leave you with 5 self-care practices. There's actually 12 of them, and the handout is on my website. So I'll let you know where you can go get it. I can even pass it along, but I just pulled 5 for today. Stop all criticism. If you can leave here today and just recognize where you're criticizing yourself and refuse to criticize yourself. When you criticize yourself, like I said, nothing changes. It's negative. Tell yourself instead, even when we do something that we're feeling guilty, I'm doing the best I can. Every moment is a new moment. I'm learning and I'm growing. Okay. Next time you go to the mirror, try not to criticize yourself. Don't scare yourself. Okay. And this has been a really, big in the past 2 years of this pandemic, is stop terrorizing yourself with your thoughts. Catch yourself when you're overthinking, when you're going in the rabbit hole, when you're spinning, and plant a new seed, a new thought. Okay. So we gave you some today. Support yourself. Ask for help. It seems like you've got a beautiful community at work. Maybe you have friends. Be open to receiving. That's huge. Sometimes we're our own worst enemies. We're closed off. Build a support system. Remember, nobody's judging you. I think this is such a big key, to not take things personally and know nobody's judging you. Yeah. And so there's so many beautiful communities to be part of to help. Take care of your body. Realize the kind of fuel that you need for optimal energy and vitality. Learn about nutrition. Discover what kind of exercise you enjoy. As a trainer, I'm all about joyful movement. We want to move our bodies, but we want to enjoy moving our bodies. It shouldn't be a chore. Okay, that's not loving ourselves or moving in pain. And cherish gratitude for the temple, the vessel that we live in. Take care of your body. And the last one, and this is Louise Hay's signature tool that everyday people like you and me use, business entrepreneurs use. I was actually coaching somebody who was running for the governor general last summer. And even people like that use the mirror work. So the mirror work is a really powerful tool, and it's an opportunity to develop the most intimate, loving relationship with yourself. And where to start is start to look in your own eye when you go to the bathroom, when you're in a mirror. Connect with the most important person, and that is you. And at least once a day, say, I love you. I really, really love you. Okay. And so we're going to wrap it up here, and I'll open up for questions in just a minute. If you're interested in more of this work or HealthStyles, so my company, we have two offerings, one with myself. And so the Heal Your Life Transformational Program, the introduction program is actually, it's online right now. It is in person. We haven't done it in person since the fall of 2020, but it is coming again online on Thursdays in the afternoons. It's a 2-hour, it's a whole 10 hours. And this is where, Amanda, we look at understanding the limiting low self-esteem beliefs and defenses, and we reprogram. You will leave there totally in a new mindset. We release a lot of patterns that keep us stuck, so that you're going to be moving into the realm of change. You're going to learn so many meditations, practices, tools like mirror work, like forgiveness, that are going to be part of your mental, emotional toolbox. Okay. And I almost put a guarantee on this, that you will shift your health, your love, your relationships, your work, your abundances will shift. Okay. You will move into what we call a manifestation realm. So that's the package, 10 hours of globalized content. Usually if you were to do this one-on-one, and I do one-on-one training, some people don't feel comfortable in a group. I take 6 women for this program, and the regular fee is $9.99, but the program is offered for $249 in a group setting. So it's like $50 a program. And like I said, there's only 6 people usually in the program. If we have males interested, I'm happy to open it up to that. My community has been mostly female predominant. Corporately, though, we are expanding and having, obviously, it all inclusive. So I just want you to know that that's available there too. And that is with me. So I will be leading that as a Heal Your Life teacher. But we have, I got excited. Let's go back. If you're looking at just really starting to have more awareness, mindfulness meditation for cultivating compassion, so love for yourself and wisdom, we have an upcoming course. It's 4 weeks. It's in the evening. And so you'll understand more of your emotions, offering compassion, starting to transform some of your habits, and cultivating a deeper sense of well-being. And this is with Kathy Noel. Kathy actually taught yoga at CHEO right up until the pandemic. And I don't know if any of you recognize her. But she was coming in, I believe, on Thursday nights to teach yoga. So we've been around. And so this will be 4 hours, theory, guided meditation, weekly coaching, and all of them have recordings. So sometimes people go, I'm going to miss a week. You'll get the recording. You can do your growth work. So this is regular $250, and up until next week, it's $99. All the prices already include HST. Unfortunately, Unfortunately, we have to tax health services. That will change someday, we hope. That will change. And that's with the lovely Kathy. And so if you need to get a hold of me, I know we're going a little over. There's my email. I'm happy to offer what's called a free discovery call. It's 15 minutes with me to see maybe it's this program, maybe it's something else for you. Maybe you just want to talk privately about what we chatted about today. There's my website. And then there's the Heal Your Life workshops. There's other workshops internationally. Like I said, a lot is online right now. And the Managing Heart and Mind, that's the corporate program. Amazing, amazing corporate program for team building. Amazing. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram under the handle HealthStyles Consulting, but on LinkedIn, I'm actually under my name, Tina D'Angelo. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing and come back. I know a lot of people had to drop.